such an insightful observation.
This is the
Well,
problem.
it hit me like a bomb. It just about knocked me over when I saw that.
You're so right.
They're so busy doing their things that they don't have time to learn.
I,
Immediately shuts down discourse, doesn't it?
I know is a disinvitation in kind of meaning space between us.
Yeah. There's no longer a need to communicate. There's nothing you can tell me that I need to know, that I want to know.
It's a terminus.
I say something.
And see how, I mean, and that's like the poison that's throughout everything, and it's fundamentally antithetical to learning.
Yeah. But see, the thing that bothers me so much about that, David, is that we value knowledge.
He says it's impossible to communicate.
The reason we're listening to you is because we value your knowledge.
Well, that's unfortunate.
He saw his
And
I mean,
there's nothing wrong with knowledge. Knowledge, without knowledge, we can't do anything. The question is, what's our orientation to knowledge and what's our orientation to learning? If knowledge is thought of as what I'll characterize as a provisional scaffolding, fantastic.
The companies that have the narrow base,
As soon as it's the end, we're dead. Or wherever that's the end.
span of control
and yet to some extent we know that we do value
allows for that.
the ability to learn and create, because that's why we hire consultants.
Oh, for sure.
It's not that this guy knows the answer to my problem, it's that he can help me.
That's right.
He can
That's right.
help me
He's kind of a
learn.
learning guide.
That's right. That's
Right.
right. So on some level we do recognize.
Oh yes, yes, yes. But the point is that there's a pervasive quality to the tone of society and how individuals develop, which is both at the value level. I mean, look at commercials. Look at the consumerism. The whole point of the consumerism is it's tacitly accepted in our culture that manipulating your compliance to my business needs
20 people reporting to them.
is more important than having a concern for the ecology of our society's learning.
It's much simpler. It's a much simpler way of running the world to assume that there is a defined body of knowledge which has intrinsic value, and my job then is just simply slice and dice, open up the top of the brain, pour, add water, stir it, you're done.
That's alternative representation of the priesthood.
Ready to roll?
Yeah, we got to get going.
And for me to say that I have to value you not based on what you know, but what you can learn,
Or what we can learn by being together.
Alabama right now,
that's a much more difficult proposition. I don't know how to measure that.
process
I don't know how
a few
to
weeks early,
value it.
laying off.
So how do we learn how to do that? Because you're right. I mean, what you said is right on the button. Until such time as we develop evaluation systems and measurement systems and assessment systems that speak to the kind of issues that we're talking about so that we can have some systemic interface to try to do this, then the system itself is going to be encumbered from being able to do it.
See, I'm concerned that at a very basic level, we as human beings have a need to attach concreteness to things. To be able to say, here's how big it is, how hard it is, how fast it can move. I need to be able to quantify things.
Sure, sure.
And now, I can quantify knowledge. I'm not sure I can quantify learning.
But the point isn't that we don't want to quantify knowledge, and that it isn't okay to arrive at quantitative knowledge, but that the process of coming at the knowledge, in terms of I mean, from an educational point of view, we want to use that as the exercise environment, so that people's capacities for learning can continue to do better job of doing that.
All right.
Right?
But it says there's a parallel process where I'm going to be able to measure some outcomes.
You've got to be able to measure outcomes. I'm not talking about something that's totally in a vacuum.
Okay.
But what are the new evaluation procedures? The guy who is in charge of assessment and evaluation for the province of Ontario is grappling with that with us now.
You must have somebody on your team that's responsible for assessment.
Yes, we have.
I'm really interested in knowing what that guy has to say.
That lady.
Or that gal.
Okay.
To me, I'm from the Midwest. A guy is...
Generic. Well, okay. Well, you got me with a little girl on the Nintendo machine, so I thought I'd just come back with.
Okay. You got me. You got me. All right,
Well, listen,
what is that person saying about assessment?
a couple of years ago, he says, you know, people with boys in New York City, he was upstate New York.
Well, I think that we need to pick up the conversation again after I show you what the technology does to create a peering into what's going on, a new kind of awareness in education about what learning needs are and what performance is.
I said, I give a speech at the system intern.
Okay, I hear you, but I know that NASDC is looking for these world-class standards.
Yeah?
Somehow you're gonna have to be able to tie what you're talking about to those world-class standards.
Read our summary.
Okay,
That's what we've done.
all right, I keep getting ahead.
No. Yeah, yeah. Everybody wants to get ahead.
We've tied world-class standards to our proposal.
You
We have 20
have to go through this kind of thing so you can have a dialogue and get rid of all the structure.
and we're buying the.
What is it? How are we gonna do
we're
it?
gonna
How are you gonna
implement all
change
of
your,
that
how you
into
gonna, I mean,
our-
it's all natural.
Yeah.
You got a chance to look at that material.
Well, the question though really is starts with how am I gonna hear this? Am I gonna hear this in a way that allow it to change me?
That was very, no, you sent me that thing, and that's what I gave you.
Is,
Okay, that proposal lays out
skepticism is the
how
wrong
we would
term,
implement
but
what he's
critical
gonna show you
questions
in the
here
context
of us business
of
community
totally revolutionizing
weren't
the
asked
systems
by
approach. It's
yesterday.
this.
Oh yeah, that's right. No question. Oh, but that's one of the reasons that I've developed these three organizations, because they live in the three different worlds, okay? In the business bias with a short stroke profit concern, in education with a longer view and the big problem being, you know, the different kind of distribution of problems, and the nonprofit world, okay, which also has an entirely different set of agendas, different way of measuring itself, considers itself with educators. And I don't know how to do this yet. We're just learning how to do it.
It's interesting that yesterday there were no sort of barriers or obstacles, according to what Margaret and Lou told me about the feedback from that session. I mean, the education was there. You know, there was sort of, you know, acceptance.
And I said,
Business here is sort of saying the practical. How do you make a paradigm shift? Current infrastructure.
Yep.
Well, that's the one that,
The user business was saying, okay, we have to change, preaching the system. The educators saying, well, wait a minute.
Yeah.
And just the opposite.
And they don't wanna see it.
Yeah. But I've experienced this talking to different companies, and
50 typewritten page places you put
Oh,
it
they
through.
did a lot of videos at the end, I didn't
Yes,
know that. That's good.
I mean, I think we're going to learn to do it by keeping doing this, by continue to get the right kind of people that have a passion to make a change but are frustrated, to combine our frustrations. Can we get started again?
Paper, you have to come and see it. It's impossible. So you know better.
Let's go.
Okay. I'm going to say one other thing about the kind of where we left the Nintendo conversation, right? We talked before, you mentioned that there were girls playing it too, right? Which I'm aware of. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. But my point was this: is that there's no, yeah, write that down. That adults don't play it that much. There's a few adults that play it, right? And teenagers don't play it that much. Little children are, for the most part, playing it. Yeah.
To program VCR requires a teenager or younger.
Somebody brought that up at dinner last night. That the Nintendo is to the little children as programming of VCR is to the teenagers, and the adults are just hopeless. Right? But anyway, with what amazed me was these children have buying power. I mean, the toy companies attest to that. Yeah. But the children have caused to come into existence the most populous computer in the world. The children have. They have said, we want this Nintendo in a way that's worked. Because there's been more sales, as of last year, there was 30 million of those boxes in their homes. And it's growing like a weed, right?
I have two in the house.
Okay.
I have Nintendo
And Super Nintendo. You playing Link?
I have Genesis, Sega as well.
Wow. Okay. So you understand?
We are, listen, let me tell you,
You're game players.
not me personally, I don't want to
Uh-huh.
mislead you, I just have the checkbook.
But you've watched that flow dynamic between them. You just have the checkbook. But it works. I mean, the question for me is how was it that these children could bring such force to bear on the market at one level? I mean, look at how successful they've been. Parents haven't bought that many personal computers for themselves, but the kids have managed, without even having the direct financial control, to purchase more of what we'll call computers than anybody else.